Hello everyone, welcome to this month's Learning Collaborative. We're going to be discussing resources provided by the Epilepsy Foundation and how to best utilize them. And we have Susan Welby and Elaine Kiriakopoulos here speaking to it from the Epilepsy Foundation. So it's a great opportunity to ask questions. And afterwards, we're going to have a discussion about the seizure screener, how it's going, and also a review of how to get mock credits for joining the Learning Collaborative. And maybe we can all go around and introduce ourselves.
Sure, I can start. Can you guys hear me? My audio is not on, but can everybody?
Yeah, we can hear.
Okay, great. So my name is Sarah Nuss. I'm the new research assistant working with the Telehealth Epilepsy Project. I've reached out to some of you. I've been helping out with the seizure screener part 2. So I've reached out to some of you for some of the positive screens that we've gotten and negative screens, but I'm excited to be here.
Oh, I can say hi. I'm Lori Douglas, so I'm the project PI for the Telehealth Epilepsy Care Collaborative. Thank you everybody for joining us.
And I'm Elaine Kiriakopoulos. I'm the Chief Operating Officer here at Epilepsy Foundation New England, and I just realized I'm coming up on 1 year here.
Congratulations.
Having pivoted from a clinical career, so thank you for inviting us to join you and share.
Wonderful. And I'm Susan Welby. I'm the Director of Community Education and Engagement here at the Epilepsy Foundation New England.
Eileen,
I'm Elaine. Hello, you can't see me, but which is a good thing, actually. I am the Medical Director of the Primary Care Clinic at BNC.
Nice.
All right.
Sure. As well, I think we have Linda Medeiros. Can you introduce yourself?
Maybe Linda doesn't have a mic.
She may not have a functioning mic, but at least she can listen to us.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't see a mic next to her, so I think she might be using a computer without a microphone. That's okay. And then we have Kate Cooney. Is that Dr. Cooney joining us?
I'm trying to think if that's Woburn. That's okay. We'll let people text. We'll go.
Yeah, you can send at any point. You can send a message by looking to the bottom. If you're using a computer, look to the bottom of your screen. There'll be a little talk bubble, and send a message out to us.
Great. So why don't we start with today's presentation? That would be wonderful.
Okay. Just click this. All right. So as we said, we're joining you from Epilepsy Foundation New England. Our tagline is Help for Today and Hope for Tomorrow. And we're going to be giving you an overview today. It's actually a photo taken out a plane window over Greenland on a family trip on the way back from Iceland. So what we're sharing with you today really is an overview, and both Susan and I are here at any time if you need more information about any of the programs we're sharing with you today. So the mission statement of the foundation is to lead the fight to overcome the challenges of living with epilepsy and to accelerate therapies to stop seizures, find cures, and save lives. The foundation covers 4 states, Maine, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Rhode Island. And the Epilepsy Foundation New England has been serving the community for more than here's a slide of our team, which I'm not going to go through each name, but you can see we're building up a team and have field service managers with who are our boots on the ground in New Hampshire, Maine, and Rhode Island as well. And we all work on almost everything. I wanted to take a second to share with you, if you didn't know, that early this year, the Maddie Fund of Rhode Island merged with the Epilepsy Foundation New England. And the Maddie Fund was a nonprofit which was started by parents, Deb and Richard Saravo, and they very sadly lost their son Maddie after a prolonged seizure at the age of 5, and had developed the Maddie Fund to assist families in Rhode Island with epilepsy. So they've merged with the foundation, and a lot of the children's activities fall under the Maddie project for us. And you'll hear a little bit about some of the family activities and some of the education programs that we're hoping to share across all 4 states. So the goals of the foundation include improving the lives of individuals and families impacted by epilepsy by providing access to services and education, by connecting people with epilepsy in a manner that meets their needs, by acting with local and state governments to improve legislation and funding, support the implementation and advancement of best practices and efficacy so that we can have a greater impact with better outcomes. And then, of course, fundraising to find a cure through the funding of research and delivery of new therapies in partnership with the Epilepsy Foundation of America. I'm just going to pause for a second here and take a look down the library at Trinity College here in Dublin to the light at the end of the tunnel. You see the bus all the way down and the books all the way down. So together, if we can merge people and information, we're hoping to be able to progress to that light. A big part for us is partnering with the medical community. And we'd like to partner with caregivers to provide essential resources and support. We have a professional advisory board, which assists us with providing strategic and creative direction on all our programs and initiatives. And together with the medical community, our goal is to build a strong portfolio of programs, services, and initiatives. So looking at our resource and support center, there are 3 main themes that sort of oversee the center, which are to learn, get help, and connect. And you may see our cards out and about in the community. We're happy to share these postcards if people don't have them in their clinics and would like to have them. They can share them with their patients and families so that they can access our resource and support center very easily by either calling or emailing us. Online learning resources are one way that we help to educate the community. In addition, there are printed educational materials and online educational materials for patients, caregivers, and the community at large. The foundation runs educational conferences and workshops and also community awareness events. There's a virtual library online at our website, which is www.epilepsynewengland.org, and much information that you can also find at the National Foundation's website, epilepsy.com. Frequently, we'll do webinars, and Susan's done some of those, community forums, and share self-management tools online as well. With respect to research, we partner with the National Epilepsy Foundation in support of research to work for a cure. And every dollar that's donated to us earmarked for research is forwarded directly to the National Foundation. One of their big initiatives is the Epilepsy Innovation Institute. And the Institute is looking to drive transformational innovation in diagnosing and treating epilepsy, to encourage and support radical new ideas, and to incorporate new expertise and technologies from other fields of science to head towards a cure. We also partner with the National Foundation around clinical trials. So as you know, new therapies for epilepsy are under evaluation in clinical trials. And so your patients or you as providers can help to search clinical trials databases by linking to that website that's posted there. And there's a patient assistance fund for this as well. So it's a program that helps to provide financial assistance to people with limited resources who've been enrolled in a trial. So if you have patients that need access to funds to participate in a trial, please let us know. Under the Get Help segment, the help desk is here. Someone is present and answering phones typically between 8:30 and 6 each day. When we're not here, we partner with the National Foundation to provide a 24/7 helpline, and that's that 1-800 number so that people can call here in the evening, on the weekend, and if their calls are urgent, they'll get forwarded to help right away. If they're not urgent, National will let us know that a call has come in, and we'll follow up the next day with whoever's called in. The National Foundation partners with the United Way of Florida to provide suicide counseling over the phone. There's also a Spanish helpline through the National Foundation as well. So when people call in to get help, most often they're looking for access to information, resources, and support. Some of the things we're able to help them find or help them work through are issues with health coverage, insurance, patient assistance programs to help them pay for medications if they're unable to. We provide financial aid, and our awards typically are between $50 and $1,000. And over the course of the past year, I can share with you that we've funded many different families. We funded people to help get access to their medication when they were unable to make co-pays. We've helped to pay the rent for people who had extended hospitalizations and were unable to work and found themselves in a difficult situation. We've had families contact us to help us pay for funerals in the unexpected instance of a death related to seizures and SUDEP. There's a whole variety of different things that the foundation has helped with whenever possible, and we do the best we can to help whenever we can. Another initiative is our scholarship initiative, and so this program has existed for some time. It's gotten a real boost in this past year. The foundation has gone from awarding 1 scholarship the prior year. We awarded 25 scholarships this past year, 6 scholarships for $2,500, and then 19 scholarships for a smaller amount, sort of runner-up scholarships for $250. And that influx of applications is really a testament to our professional advisory board and our physicians out in the community that shared the information with their patients so that they could apply. And we're hoping for another good year of applications, and we're continuing to raise money that's earmarked for scholarships. People call in to get information about transportation and emergency housing. So while we don't have caseworkers here, we do our best to help walk people through things like the process for a PT1 form so they can get the ride, or if they're in dire need of housing, to try and direct them as best we can to find temporary housing. We have people call in to learn about service dogs and seizure detection technologies, and we're happy to share information with them around that. We were able this year, under our financial aid program, to award, I think we've awarded 4 of the Embrace technology watches to patients who would benefit. With respect to the seizure detection technology, we ask that people who are applying for help to acquire one of these devices speak to their physician first to make sure that it's something that's going to be useful for the type of epilepsy that they have. People also
Try it again.
Can you tell us what these race detection watches are?
Yep, so there are many different seizure detection technologies that people use to try to elevate the safety for people who have epilepsy and are living with seizures that are refractory to medications. So different detection technologies may be a camera in the room. It could be a mattress pad some people use. The Embrace watch is just one of many, but it's like a wristband. It almost looks like a Fitbit. And for certain types of epilepsies, it can be helpful in detecting when a seizure happens and alerting someone, a loved one or someone who's nearby. The watch, when it detects a seizure, can send a message to an iPhone of another person to let them know that a seizure has occurred. Provides families with some reassurance. Particularly, we've had requests for a couple of college-age kids who's, living out on their own for the first time, whose families have felt reassured by them wearing this technology while they're away at school. That's just one example. But there are a number of different technologies.
And I have a follow-up question about the financial aid and scholarships and transportation.
Sure.
Where would patients go to apply for these services?
Right. So all the applications are simple online applications. They can be printed out, but they're all on the ENFE website. If you look under the Resource and Support Center, you'll see tabs for financial aid and also for scholarships.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the other thing people often ask our help with is advocacy surrounding education and employment. And so we're very lucky, very fortunate to have Bill Murphy with us, who's our Director of Advocacy, and Susan, who has spent many years here assisting families. So if parents feel their child is somehow not having their education or their learning maximized at school, that they're being discriminated against, we do our best to help educate the people in the school system, and also to point them in the direction if they do need to either hire an advocate or lawyer. We don't provide legal advice, but we do our best to help them as far along as we can to help their child get whatever they need in the school system. Similarly with employment, we have an employment team of 2, and Bill also works with them as well to help people work through discrimination experience in the workplace and lead them in the right direction.
And what is the best way to enter into, for patients to enter into these services? Do they call the helpline and then get some navigation from there and then really learn where to go and get talked through how to apply for these different things?
Yeah, so all of this comes through the help desk. The 617-506-6041 extension 109 number, or they can email the support email. And then after initial conversation, we make sure people get to the right place with the person best suited to help them here.
And also,
did you have another question?
thank you.
Okay. So I'm going to just touch briefly on our employment services program, which you'll be hearing more about over the next year for certain. Our Director of Employment Services is Frankie Dakota, and she's wonderful. The program runs to offer both group-based professional development workshops where we do some soft and transferable skill training, some professional leadership development, as well as individualized coaching and placement support. So people can come in, they have a consultation. We've hired a new employment client specialist, Mark Sensky, who helps with that. They can get one-on-one counseling and consultation, advocacy support, and then we also try to help directly place them in jobs. I'm going to move on to supporting families. And here's a group of our kids from a young adult retreat. And it's true for most of our families that life is a balancing act. It's true for everyone in general. But epilepsy can present, specific challenges. And so it can be tough for families. Support groups are something we've expanded over the past year. So in January, we started out with a pilot support group, a structured support group at MGH where we provided information and education during the first part of the session, a time for people to network during the middle part of the session, and then a sharing and peer support and advice portion of each session that came at the end. And we found that to be very successful, and our group grew over time from 6 to 8 to 12 to 20 people are now attending that group. This fall, we introduced groups. I think we have 11 support groups that are running now. So we've jumped from 1 to 11. 8 of those groups are in person, and 3 of them are simple phone-in groups. There's no computer technology to limit anyone from being able to join associated with the groups. It's a simple phone-in, which is the feedback we get from constituents asking for the simplest form possible of connecting connecting and sharing. So those have kicked off this fall. And in the first month, we've served about 130 constituents with those groups. So we're excited to see those continue to grow. People can register for those groups on the website. They can look on the website to find out when the next group is and where the next group might be. We really find that the groups provide a place for people to connect with one another. And, you know, the group members share their common experiences and provide support and offer one another practical advice. We have been fortunate in having some faculty from each of the institutions where we're holding a group join us in co-facilitating the groups. And I think that also helps the connection to their nurses and doctors and social workers, raising the comfort level for them to join us. So again, on the area of support, a very difficult area. So I'll read this to you. This is Amberly Carroll took her final curtain call on October 14th, 2016 at her home in Hudson, New Hampshire, where she suffered a fatal seizure at the age of 18. A precious gift from God to her loving parents, Brian and Tracy Lee Carroll. Amberly was born on March 5th, 1998 in Nashua. So over the course of the past year, we worked really hard to connect with families in these tragic situations. I'm sad to say that we've connected with over 60 families in the past year, which is too many. The foundation is working hard to raise awareness about SUDEP and education around SUDEP. And here's a photo from a recent walk in New Hampshire. Amber's mom and her friends attended the walk. Since we found out about this family, a family has stayed connected with us in regular communication with the mom, and tried to support her in her efforts to garner a network of support in her own community. And so it was wonderful to see her at the walk. I think she had about 30 members on her team come out to support her. And I think, you know, that's what I want to share is that we're trying to build relationships with people over time. It's not a simple phone in where, you know, people call one time and get a supportive ear to listen to. Everyone at the foundation who should be involved or is appropriately involved contributes to supporting families who suffer a tragic loss. And we know with sudden unexpected.
Question for you. How did you connect with that family? Were they known to you before the death?
No, they found us.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Most of them find us.
Interesting.
Yeah. We also have physicians who now will email me directly at the support email to ask me to reach out to a family as soon as they're aware. Often social workers have contacted us as well regarding the same situation. So oftentimes the direct reach in comes from a medical person asking us to help. And we do our best to do that.
Wow.
It's having come from a clinical background, Lori and the others can speak to this. Thankfully, I did not experience losing someone in my clinic, although within our group, certainly we had a number of patients over the 15 years I was at BI who were lost to SUDEP. But it's been really striking to me being here at the foundation, the number of families who have this tragedy happen to them.
Yeah. Wow.
It's really, really impactful for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had talked about doing a learning collaborative just on that talk of SUDEP, because I think maybe for non-epileptologists, it might be somewhat of a foreign term.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We tend to deal often with less malignant forms of epilepsy, and so we tend to run around thinking everything's rosy and good, but there are those few children where this does happen. And we could talk about, well, what makes it a risk factor for older adults? one of the risks that we know, and one of the things that I give my tough love to my older patients is compliance. So compliance with medications is one of the highest risks for SUDEP when they're non-compliant. So I tell them it's tough love.
Right.
They know about it. Not scare them, too much, but I need to let them know what's going on. So I think that would be a great learning collaborative talk, it sounds like.
Absolutely.
I agree with that, Lori. And also, just because the two cases you talked about were in kids, the 5-year-old and the 18-year-old, like, I'm just curious as a pediatrician, like, what puts a child with a seizure disorder at higher risk?
Yeah, so certainly non-compliance, and then you have to look at what's the underlying etiology of their seizures as well.
Sure, yeah. Okay, I'll
Oh yeah,
stop now.
I have my video on. Christina's reminding me I'm hiding.
So the number we know roughly in adults, the estimates are that 1 in 1,000 people with epilepsy die from SUDEP. That number is roughly 1 in 4,500 with children. We know that it more frequently in people with epilepsy whose seizures are controlled, whether they're young or old. And along with the support we provide here, we also partner with the National Foundation to provide bereavement support to families. The National Foundation has a SUDEP Institute to raise awareness and drive research, promote prevention, and support families confronting the fear and loss. It partners with many other institutions and groups, and also provides a link to the North American SUDEP Registry so we can learn more about SUDEP in hopes of preventing it in the future. So we do work together with the National Foundation. So talk to you just a little bit about ways we try to connect our community and hopefully your community of patients to our community. There's a group of our adults hanging out at the retreat. It was a really fun weekend, the young adult retreat, and this was a great group of kids who really bonded. But we offer many camps and retreats. So we have 2 therapeutic horseback riding camps that we're running now, one in April and one in August. We do a young adult retreat in the spring. We had 2 summer camps just for kids that were sleepaway camps this summer, and 2 summer camps for families that were where the whole family could come and spend time together at camp. So that was great. We also did an adult retreat this fall up in New Hampshire. For adults with epilepsy to get away, and they had a wonderful time doing things like going out to see a play and going shopping and cooking together and really connecting over a weekend away. Here's some pictures of our campers, lots of smiling faces. I spent a full week up at camp this summer in Maine. And it was really wonderful to see how much both the children at sleepaway camp and the parents at family camp benefited from building this network of friendships. It was really, really powerful to see the kids trying new things, making new friends, and really feeling less alone around such a positive experience. So the magnitude of impact that camp has simply can't be measured for these families. It's really, really fantastic. You should know we also offer scholarships for families who can't afford to come to camp. We want everyone to be able to go to camp. And that scholarship information is a part of the application for camp and can be found online as well.
A quick question. So what advice do you give about swimming for kids with epilepsy?
Advice at camp?
At camp or in clinic, I think I've opened that up to just a general discussion about what would you tell a child with epilepsy about swimming and any precautions that they should take? Is it safe to swim? What would you say?
Do you want me to answer that? Or
I can answer it, Christina. Yeah, I can answer it. I can take the heat off a little bit.
I can tell you what we do at camp, and I can tell you in general, and I think it's the reason I'm asking about Lori answering is it can be specific to the type of epilepsy a child has and the safety measures that have to happen around that. In general, at camp, the rules we follow are similar to what they would be for any other child, unless the parent says to us that seizures are refractory, we're unlikely able to predict when they might happen for their child, and that they have been recommended to wear a life jacket by their physician at all times. In that case, we also try to keep our observer to child ratio at 1:2 or 1:3 maximum. Each child has to pass a swim test, and there has to be a parental consent provided for whether or not they feel their child is safe to swim without a life jacket or needs a life jacket. Anyone who gets involved in any sort of boating activity at camp in water, everyone wears a life jacket. No one has an option there. But there's some sensitivity around this issue for the kids with epilepsy at camp. And we saw that this summer at one of the camps we were at, where other groups of campers were allowed to go to the pool and not have to wear life jackets. And many of our kids who came to camp, some of them were on swim teams and were really great swimmers and had seizures that were very well controlled, whose parents were fine with them not wearing a life jacket, and their physicians were fine with them not wearing a life jacket, but the camp insisted they wore one. So it's a tricky issue for us at camp, and we certainly don't want the kids to feel discriminated against, but safety always has to be our first priority. Lori, I'm sorry, you want to add to that?
I have very similar response, but I think it's very situational. So my first is, what body of water are they swimming in? So if it's a clearly visible pool with a deck,
Yeah.
it's like going to Disney World and having young children. Same rule has to apply. You can't swim unattended, that sort of thing.
Right.
When we get to the beach, whether it be a lake or whether it be the ocean, the water, especially in New England, you can't see.
Absolutely.
And if someone goes underneath, you might not find them. And so my rule is for parents of children is that you must be in the water with them.
Right.
You cannot be at the shore. And if there's any chance that they have a type of seizure where they'll be underwater at some point because they can't react, they have to have a marine life vest. But in a pool, I have sort of different rules.
Right.
And otherwise, it's the buddy system for everything, right?
Absolutely.
Right. No one should swim alone. No one should go into the woods alone. That's what I tell them.
Right. Yep.
We follow similar practices with our kids and just try our hardest to make them feel like they're not, for the kids who are at camp and swimming in a pool, to make them feel like other kids, particularly if it's been determined that it's okay for them to swim without a life jacket. We try to make that opportunity available for them. In the pool. Not in the lake, but in the pool, yeah.
Elaine, did you have a comment?
Nope, that was helpful to me though. Thank you.
This is another photo from our young adult retreat where we had a music session, some pictures with the horses. Our youth programs, so our youth programs are run by a volunteer, our youth programming specialist is Shanda Gunn. And she runs these groups designed to bring teens and young adults together to connect and foster friendships, tackle new challenges, and build skills. They run monthly, and there's opportunities to participate in things like writing workshops, creative arts, advocacy, and public policy. There's some pictures from our young adult retreat. We did a keto workshop while they were at the retreat, which was interesting. They baked some wonderful hockey pucks. Calling them little cheesecakes that sort of were like hockey pucks, but
Tasted delicious.
right. So the kids did a great job and really enjoyed learning about the ketogenic diet through this workshop. For some of them, they'd never heard about it or been introduced to it in any other way. So it was a good way to provide a little bit of education and have fun. And for them to interact and link with our volunteers, which we had a group of volunteers come to us from the University of Maine who participated at the retreat. Here's a picture from this past weekend at one of our Youth Leadership Council meetings. The kids got together and did different activities like playing games and building things and just getting to know one another. So it was great. It was good turnout. We have some focus on child and family programs, activities for kids of all ages. We're going to be running a Mighty Mike basketball series, which will run in all 4 states over the course of the next 4 months. We do bowling nights. We do some sporting fan activities where families meet up at a sporting event and share participating as fans and getting to know one another. Art workshops and STEM workshops are in the works, and we should hear more about those in the spring. There's a bunch of kids recently in New Hampshire at our pumpkin decorating and pumpkin relay races, having a great time. Art therapy. So the foundation has run the Studio E group art therapy sessions, and it's an opportunity for people to strengthen their artistic voice and express art, share experiences. And this year, for the first time, we did a gallery exhibition at the end of the program to celebrate the art and the artists, and here they are. Lovely group, and Cecile Reve is here in the middle. She's our art therapist who has worked with us doing this program for several years now. She's wonderful. Her studio is in Watertown, somewhere that's accessible for everyone by 2 or by.
Sorry, you broke up for a second. What was that?
The last few sentences we didn't hear.
Oh, I'm sorry. So Cecile's studio, this woman here at the center of the photo is our art therapist, and she's been working with this program for several years, doing this with us. And her studio's in Watertown. We like to choose a location that people can access by T or bus, and there's no cost for the participants. So it's an 8-week session that runs, the final week being the gallery showing, and we hope to run it again next year. We'll likely be doing some open studio time starting in January, some Saturday drop-in time for anyone interested in just going by and spending a couple hours creating. So look for that to come up as well, and that'll be advertised on our Facebook and the website. Our walks for epilepsy. So our walks, yes, they're about fundraising, and yes, they're about walking, but they're about inspiration and hope and building support for people affected by epilepsy and allowing families to feel that support. Here's a group of our dads from a recent New Hampshire walk. They all merged together, of course, to chit-chat. It's a great way for people to connect at our walks. So I'm just going to zip through as quickly as I can the rest. I'm sorry. Our volunteer programs. So we work very much on the philosophy, everyone can do something. We have large swaths of volunteers now coming to our events. You'll see our teal colored shirts. It's a way for people to connect in support of persons living with epilepsy. We often have family members of someone living with epilepsy volunteer. We often have people with epilepsy volunteer with us. And everyone is welcome. A spectrum of ages and abilities, all working for a common cause. And Jenna Whitney, who's wonderful, is our volunteer coordinator. Email easily if you have anyone interested in volunteering. Here's a photo of one of the nurses from MGH who volunteered with us at our horse camp in Rhode Island. We want people of all ages to feel they can make a difference, and so we've created service projects for youth. We are engaging both middle and high school students to participate. This past summer, we ran our first intern program. We had 9 interns this summer. And we partnered with Northeastern to have co-ops join us at the foundation as well. We're currently in the process of interviewing those co-op students who are interested. And then we have event-based volunteers for people who might just want to try it. There are opportunities available for young to old. And we have had anyone from age 12 to 13 up to 80 volunteer with us and participate. And it's really wonderful. And here's a sample of our volunteer groups. I'll take a moment to point out on the bottom right, the group of 5. Those are 5 nurses from University of UMass Worcester Memorial Center who volunteered at camp with us. We had over 20 nurses volunteer to cover our camp that was run out in Western Mass this summer. And they were absolutely critical to the success of camp, and volunteered their time and shifts to help cover camp. They were a great group.
It was fabulous.
is one of our interns, Rena, who goes to school in New York. She has a mom with epilepsy and wanted to volunteer as an intern over the summer. She ran 6 awareness workshops across libraries this summer for us, where she'd go out and educate families, and there she is with one of the participants at the awareness event, and she was a great asset to us over the course of the summer as well. Briefly, for our Director of Advocacy and Public Policy is Bill Murphy, and his goals through his program are for people to access treatment, to be provided with access to treatment and specialists. These are his priorities, I'm sorry, and these are his pop-up slides. To end discrimination, to help aid in funding for epilepsy research and programs, and to build and engage a strong grassroots network. How do we do this? We partner with a national foundation. It's a coordinated effort around advocacy resources, training, engagement. Bill sends out action alerts, his outreach to legislators. He's had many of us come to the State House with him and spend the day going around communicating to legislators why it's so important that they listen to the objectives of the foundation and fund the programs we need funded and make sure people can have access to the medications they need without having to go through an onerous fail first or step therapy process. We work together for epilepsy awareness. He engages teens in a year of service. Last year we had a teen go to DC in March to represent ENFE and give her perspective around her leadership work and advocacy as a teen. It was wonderful. Here's a group of teens at the Capitol who meet in March from all over the country, so they get to know one another. We actually had our team speak at Grand Rounds at Tufts last year with us, just giving her perspective about what it was like to be 16 years old and newly diagnosed with epilepsy and what it meant for her. Bill always talks about the ask, and so access to treatment, removing barriers, step therapy, seizure rescue meds, and affordability of medications. And everyone can join the advocacy network by registering, by clicking on that website link. We encourage you to do that. And at this point, I'm going to take a deep breath and turn it over to Susan. And please know you can reach out at any time. I'm happy to speak to anyone by phone, or if you want to email me with questions about some of the things that we're doing and how you make them accessible for your patients. Please feel free at any time. Thanks for your attention and patience.
Okay. Thank you, Elaine. Okay, I'm going to breeze through. Basically, these are a listing of the current curriculums we are able to offer in the community for no charge. So this is a sweet program that we have adopted from the Maddie Project. It's designed for preschools and primary grades, where we go in to teach children. If they have a classmate who's living with epilepsy, we talk to the other students. Particularly, we get called in if the student happened to have a seizure in the classroom and the other classmates have seen it. But we also like to do it proactively and just teach people about epilepsy. And we do it by reading this book, which is available in English and Spanish. And then we offer some sort of related little simple activity. And this program is designed to be done within a 30-minute to 40-minute classroom period.
The other great thing about this program, can I just interject about the fact that we're training volunteers to take this program out too. So we run regular volunteer training sessions. So if you have parents who you think might want to volunteer or feel like they want to take something into their child's classroom, we're happy to take the time to share this with them and train them in how to deliver it to their children's classrooms. So please send them Susan's way.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Elaine. The Take Charge series is designed just for the higher grades. So we have a curriculum that can be shown to high school students and another curriculum for middle school students. And again, there's some video footage that's age appropriate for each level. And we teach them basic first aid so that if they're with a friend, that they learn how to respond to their friend having a seizure. Then we have our staff, our school staff. We have our managing students with seizures. Right now, I have a I have a program running here in Wilmington Thursday evening from 5 to 8:30 p.m. for school nurses. And then on November 9th, I'm actually almost full. I only have 2 spots left for school nurses at an all-day training in Burlington on November 9th. And it's just managing students with seizures teaches school nurses at a higher level. And they do receive credit hours for the managing students with seizures section. Seizure training for school personnel. I can teach school nurses to implement it using a train-the-trainer model, or the schools can call us, and the field service managers and/or I and volunteers that we're training to do these programs will go out to the schools and do a 45 to 60-minute workshop for the teachers. I've been lucky. There are certain school systems that now call me in for their professional development days where they'll ask me to do a 75-minute or 90-minute workshop that the staff can sign up for. Then we have our seizure training for childcare personnel. And I actually use this curriculum in preschools as well because it just seems pertinent, because it goes beyond epileptic seizures and talks about febrile seizures and things that people who care for very young children need to be aware of. And then we have our first responders training, which is available online or live. We have a curriculum for emergency medical services, and we have a law enforcement curriculum as well. And then lastly, we are addressing the over 55 population, and this helps caregivers, whether they're in a home-based care setting, an adult day center, short-term care, long-term care, to recognize the often subtle ways that seizure present in the older adult and help them say, oh, maybe it's time for a neurological consult on this person, and not just chalk it off to, oh, that's just signs of aging or dementia or